Good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, as always. Today on the program, boy, we got a lineup. We're going to talk with Corning Mayor Bill Boland. He's going to tell us about his recent visit with the Corning sister city, San Giovanni Valderno. And then after that, we'll be talking with Brandon Beuter. He's going to tell us about tomorrow's event that we had promoted yesterday as well, which is the International Black Balloon Day. It's about remembering those that have passed from opioid overdoses, but also preventing the next overdose. So we'll find out all about that with Brandon in just a little bit. We're going to have some pictures. Look at all these waves coming in. We're going to have some pictures from the mayor's trip, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Quickly, because as soon as he comes in, we'll probably go to break. Trump easily won North Dakota yesterday, the GOP caucus in North Dakota, ahead of Super Tuesday. Trump received 84.6% of the vote in North Dakota, while his only remaining opponent, Nikki Haley, primary opponent, mustered just 14.2% of the vote. The GOP frontrunner's victory will net him all of the state's 29 delegates that were up for grabs on Monday. Now tonight, Super Tuesday, because yes, welcome to Super Tuesday. There are 800 delegates at stake in the 15 states. Trump leads Haley by at least 37 points in the California, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia races, according to 538. So tomorrow's show, though we will have guests on as well, we'll be talking a lot about Super Tuesday and the results there. Obviously, it was a big day yesterday as the Supreme Court decided 9-0 that Trump should not be taken away or cannot be taken away off the ballot. Now, this was big, and the reason why it's kind of extra special that it was 9-0 is because if even one or two had a different opinion, they would say it was a conservative majority. There'd be talks again of kind of stacking the deck and adding on to the court. But according to the Post editorial board, it shows that whatever partisan divisions there may be on the court, it's ruled by a fair reading of the law. And the law in this case was being abused. Anything less than a 9-0 ruling would have given the left license to pretend it lost because its conservative majority was playing politics. None of this is, and this is coming from the Post editorial board, none of this is to excuse Trump's behavior around the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. It's to say that it's not up to state officials to decide without any real due process that he thereby engaged in insurrection or rebellion and so was disqualified from future office, as Colorado Supreme Court ruled back in December. The thing that's so scary about that is how quick, in this case, the Colorado Supreme Court, but how quick people are to not worry about how this will be misused, how it'll be used in the future, how it will really throw presidential elections into a tizzy if he were allowed to be taken off the ballot. Because as you can imagine how that would be abused and misused just because, because again, Trump never found guilty of insurrection. So this was just a politically motivated attack. Those judges should be ashamed of themselves, along with the Maine and Illinois officials who followed suit, as well as all involved in dozens of similar cases in other states. Basic legal issues, such as the fact that no one's convicted Trump of anything like insurrection aside, allowing this would license similar games without end for a downward spiral that would make every presidential election a farce. As the court put it, and I quote, "Nothing in the Constitution requires that we endure such chaos." As Amy Coney Barrett noted in her opinion, saying, "For present purposes, our differences are far less important than our unanimity." I think that's how you pronounce it. All 9 justices agree on the outcome of this case. This is the message Americans should take home. It's also a message for all of those who don't want Trump returned to office. Stop reaching for legal gimmicks and focus on beating him at the polls. You keep claiming to believe in democracy, start acting that way. So a very important decision yesterday. Supreme Court really put it on speed track to get that done. So that's big leading into, of course, Super Tuesday today. We've got a lot more to talk about with this. I do have to take my short break because we will have Corning Mayor Bill Boland in just a little bit after the mayor, Brandon Beuter. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back. All our beautiful view of Market Street as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Frankly Speaking. Again, I'm your host, Frank Acom. You're watching Big Fox. So we're talking about the Supreme Court decision yesterday. Trump declared it a big win for America. He went on Truth Social, all caps, of course. Big win for America. I have great respect for the Supreme Court. I just want to thank them for working so quickly and so diligently and so brilliantly. I think it will go a long way toward bringing our country together. Everybody now is together, and they can go after me as a politician. They can go after me with votes, but they're not going to go after me with this kind of lawsuit that kicks somebody out of the race. Who's leading in this case? But even if that person wasn't leading. So I wanted to give you that side to it. We'll have plenty more to talk about, but I see that the mayor is here from his trip back from Italy. So stay with us. We'll take a short break, and then we'll be talking with the mayor. This is Frankly Speaking. Overlooking our beautiful view of Market Street. How appropriate, because in the Hesselson studio, we have Corning Mayor Bill Boland. Good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
How does it feel good to be back?
It does. Still getting a little bit on Italy time, but transitioning pretty well. Thanks.
So you just got back from San Giovanni Valderno. How long was the trip for?
10 days.
Oh, wow.
Full 10 days.
How was the travel?
Well, the flight over for a person my age was a little rugged.
Yeah.
But no, we survived. And
took you 7 days to recover, just so you could do it again?
Well, yeah, they say for every day you're over there, it takes you a day to recover.
Is that right?
We're getting there.
Okay, good. Yeah. So how long have you, has it just been since you were mayor that you got involved with Sister Cities?
Yeah. Pretty much. I'm an ex officio member of the San Giovanni and the Sister Cities Committee in general. Yeah. So I've just taken a real interest in it.
I think it's great because last year they came and visited here.
They did.
And that was a blast. And you had everything set up. Everybody did, but had so many things set up for them to do. Does it feel the same when you go over there? Is everything set up? You got a lot of big events?
I'll tell you, the thoughtfulness and care that they put into the program that they put together for us, truly, Frank, really? An experience of a lifetime. And I know our group, we had 8 adults go over with 2 students, and I know to a person they felt like we had just an experience of a lifetime. Sure. The hospitality was through the roof. And
we're going to show some pictures here in just a little bit, but I had a couple more questions before we do that. I want to keep people hooked so they can see the pictures. What made you decide that this was the year you were going to go on the trip?
Well, actually, we had decided in 2020 that was the plan. And then, if you remember, Italy was the initial international hotspot for COVID. Right. In fact, we had a student group that was over there in the north of Italy at that time.
Oh, really?
You remember? And so we
had
to postpone that. But so the earliest opportunity we had, you mentioned we had them visit with us. A delegation came led by the mayor last year. Yeah. We had a wonderful signing ceremony. We renewed our agreement that has been in place for over 20 years.
I was just going to ask, so it's been about 20 years, and that's what did you have to go there to kind of do it on the backside of it too? Or?
Yeah, they wanted the opportunity to kind of showcase the program, and again, the level at which they did it was just thoughtful and comprehensive and just caring.
I didn't get a chance to talk to the mayor too much, but she seems like a very nice lady.
She's a tough lady.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so you saw behind closed doors.
The we had with closing the streets during COVID.
Oh yeah.
She wrote me a letter at that time. She said, keep the automobiles off the streets. And I said, well, our merchants are concerned about that. She said, well, you have to be tough. She's a tough lady, but she's a very, very nice
She's very nice. I like the whole group, and we'll show pictures later, but you got to help me with the name, because when I was on radio, I used to have the kids come in when they would visit, and all the adults, and it was just such a blast. So I think this is such a nice thing that we do in Corning. And you and I were talking not that long ago. It's not just San Giovanni Valderno, but Corning has other sister cities.
We do. We've had longstanding sister city relationships with Kakagawa, Japan, and interestingly enough, Lviv, Ukraine, who will be visiting with us, a delegation led by the mayor, over Glassfest. So we're really looking forward to that.
Oh, is that right?
That's in the planning
I can't wait for that. That's wonderful. Wow, talk about, are you planning on going to all the sister cities yourself?
I would really like that. Yeah. Obviously, going to Lviv is a question mark.
Of course.
That is absolutely on my radar to do that.
That is so nice that they can come and visit. I can't wait for that. You'll have to keep us updated on that. Absolutely. I'm sure there'll be a lot of festivities around it. While you were over there, how good are you with the language? Not good. Not good. I'll take that as a no.
I think, I would say buongiorno, and then I would go, that's the end of the Italian.
That's all I know.
But we had a wonderful gentleman by the name of Paolo Ricci, who was our constant guide. Charming, funny, he knew everybody, Frank. He knew absolutely everybody. So, and he was our interpreter. So we weren't lacking from that.
So we're going to see some pictures in a moment, but how beautiful is San Giovanni Valderno?
Well, Tuscany in general is just spectacular. And, you know, the nice thing about Italy is that it's organized into smaller towns. So each one is charming in their own
Oh, sure.
Obviously, Florence is a big one, but otherwise, just charming, you know, historic, obviously,
of
centuries and centuries of culture.
How does San Giovanni Valderno, so I'm just trying to say it as many times as I can, how does it compare to Corning, size-wise?
About the same.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
oh, that's
about the
great.
same. They're a little bit bigger.
And you had mentioned that the 2 students got to go with you.
Yes, indeed.
What did it mean to them? Because, I mean, as an adult, it meant a lot to you. I'm sure once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity, something you'll never forget. What's it mean for the students?
Well, let me put it in perspective. The last meeting of the San Giovanni committee, before we left, the 2 students were there. And to be very honest with you, I met them for the first time, and I did see some consternation, some skepticism, not skepticism, but just concern, like they didn't know what they were getting into.
Sure.
Well, they stayed in individual people's homes with sister cities.
That's a
sister
great idea. Yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next time that we saw them was a municipal ceremony, and they were walking up and down the street with their sisters. Guest sisters, and they were just smiling, beaming, animated conversation. It was quite clear that they were just soaking this all in.
Well, and I know when I would have the students come in, we would talk about that, if they became friends. And this is before COVID, so I don't know how the rules have changed. And it was interesting to hear the stories of past members of the sister cities, how they have really stayed in contact, almost like pen pals. And now it's different than the actual pen pals that you have to mail, but they actually do stay friends.
Well, not only the students, which is of primary importance, because they're the future of not only our country and their country, but Sister Cities Association itself. But what we've learned over that 20 years is when we do these exchanges, friendships are formed and they are maintained.
And that's what it seemed like. And that's why I've always been such a supporter of this group, because it's not just about the trip, it's about the experience. Now, when you were there, I know when you had the mayor come here, there were some kind of political events because she's the mayor. Did they have you mostly at political events, or was it a kind of a mixed bag?
I would say they stayed away from political.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the signing ceremony was in a municipal building with the whole municipal council there. So from that standpoint, it was a political event, but nothing controversial.
No, I didn't mean like that. I just meant I didn't know if there was a lot of pomp and circumstance, I guess, in that political. Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'll get to some of that when we see some of the photographs.
Exactly. So everybody wants to ask this when someone comes back from Italy. How was the food? What was your favorite food?
Man.
Yeah.
How
much weight did you put on after?
We eat pasta here a little bit, but there's no pasta like the pasta there. And the Italians themselves, we learned, don't eat like they provided us to eat. They took us and I mean, it was, soup to nuts. It took you about 2 hours to finish, and there's a little red wine that went.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
But we ate and ate. I think I gained about 7 pounds.
That's worth it, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it going to be tough coming back and having Chef Boyardee for dinner?
Indeed.
Is there anything before we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to go to the questions, or to the photos. Do you have a most memorable moment, or was it so memorable?
Yeah, Again, Paolo Ricci that I mentioned was just a gentleman who knew everybody. When we pulled into Rome and took a left turn into the Vatican, and were met by a Swiss guard, and there was about a 3-sentence interchange between Paolo and he's Paolo Ricci. And we drove into an interior courtyard where we were met by a Franciscan monk who's the parish priest. The Vatican actually has a Catholic parish. His church is St. Peter's Basilica. And he took us on a tour and had lunch with us. So, I'm a practicing Catholic, so for me, and for all of us, really, believers and not, it was just a peak experience.
Oh, I'm sure it would have to be. Do you feel that you'll stay in contact? I know you'll stay in contact with the mayor out of necessity, but will you stay in contact with some of the people you met?
Absolutely. The deputy mayor, Fabio Franchi, is a very active participant. He's been a proponent of this program forever and ever. And we're engaged in developing a cultural exchange. So that'll be one way. And Paolo, we all felt, the experience that he shared with us was just extraordinary, and we'll absolutely be friends forever.
When's the next trip? When do they come back here? Is that
They're coming in April, actually.
Oh, are they really?
First week in April.
And that's students?
There'll be
The
two
mix,
students.
right.
The guest sister or host sisters
really?
will be returning here, so they'll get the experience they gave our kids.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and there'll be the mayor's not coming this time, but a good, nice, healthy delegation.
Oh, that'll be great. Are you doing any ceremonies like you did last year?
Not the formal ceremony,
Okay.
but there'll be plenty of activities.
Yeah,
that they
you
got
have to have them
planned
stop
for
by the studio. That'd be so much fun.
We'll
I'd love to talk to them.
absolutely do that, Frank.
That'd be great. So let's take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to look at pictures from San Giovanni Valderno and the sister city. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And we are back at Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hakem. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We're being joined by Corning Mayor Bill Boland. All right, the moment everybody's been waiting for, Bill. We're going to put the pictures up on the screen from your trip. Can you see that okay?
I can.
All right, so we're going to go to the screen, and let's see if I can pull this off. All right, so that's our first picture.
Yeah, that's San Giovanni Verdano's main piazza, Piazza Masaccio, over the famous Italian painter. That's the old municipal building in the foreground, with the steeple that those bells rang every morning and wake us up to call to mass. The cathedral's in the background. It's just a traditional piazza. You see them in every town.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful. And then we'll go to this next photo. That's the whole grouroup.
Yeah, this is the executive committee of the municipal council. These are the leaders that actually run the city. They brought us in and made presentations to us. What you don't see behind the table is all the associations that make up the cultural and economic center of the city. They brought in all these people, and they made individual little presentations to us. So we got the full gamut of what they do and how they do it.
Well, this is like the radio days. I have to tell everybody again what we're doing here. We're showing pictures from San Giovanni Valderno. I like this picture. That's a good picture.
This is the formal signing ceremony that we were talking about, and again, they just, the way they planned, the way they executed that ceremony was just wonderful. And this is Mayor Vadi, Valentina Vadi, and the other person there is Elena Spadaccio, who's the president of the municipal council.
Oh.
And one thing I'll point out, it's Women's History Month.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if you didn't see in that other picture, women dominate the leadership picture in San Giovanni Verdano.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And like you said, she's tough, but she's fair.
Indeed.
Like that, right?
And she's funny.
Yeah,
we shared a sense of humor.
We had blessed. But so that's called Protocol of Understanding, and that's the sister cities, now Corning and San Giovanni Valderno. Okay, the next picture, this must be the whole group, right?
This is when we visited the Tuscany Regional Office. This is the president of the Tuscany region standing with a red tie. He's equivalent to our governor.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that's a
big deal.
Ornate, beautiful, historic building. And as you can see, which we haven't mentioned, those two students are really the center.
Yes.
And you can see that in this picture.
What an amazing experience for the students.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and Molly, who's to the right of the second gentleman, we actually went into the chambers. And she was kind of shy to begin with, but she said, "Can I sit in the big guy's chair?" And she did. We got a photograph.
Oh,
isn't that great?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got to ask you. He's the one that all the way to the right.
That's Emmanuel Bond.
Thank you.
He goes back to the beginning. Now this
great.
relationship goes back 20 years. And he's been a teacher. He's now retired, but an absolute salt to the earth, beautiful human being. And he did everything to make our trip wonderful.
I've never seen someone, because I used to have them in early in the morning on the radio show. He was a ball of energy at 6 a.m. He loved every second being here.
He speaks about 5 words of English, but he communicates.
Well, and he gave a great radio interview. Go figure. He really did. he was great. I always look forward to having him on. Okay, next up. There we go. This is really neat. This is really interesting to me.
Yeah, this was a serious moment. Every year there's a memorial to an event that took place in the latter days of World War II, when the retreating Nazis, the Italian partisans came out in force and were battling the Nazis. And Nazis made it clear that for every one of them killed, they would kill 10 in San Giovanni. Wow. And at one time, they rounded up 192 citizens of San Giovanni Verdano, men, women, and children, and took them out and shot them.
That's
so
horrible.
every year they commemorate that, and they march to the piazza and they lay a ribbon. And so this was an extraordinary honor for me to be participating in that solemn ceremony.
Yeah, what a moving experience.
Indeed.
So now we're going to change up and go a little light for a moment, in a way.
Well, this is right after. I mean, this is after you can see the piazza. And
that's a great picture, too, in the background.
Absolutely. These were three gentlemen that were standing there. So I approached them, and Paula was with me, and I said, well, why are you wearing these ceremonial helmets?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we are the grandchildren of the brigade that fought in World War I that were most noted and remembered famously for going into battle on bicycles. They had no tanks.
Imagine that you're going on a bicycle and you're wearing that hat.
Well, no, I think that's a ceremonial. But they were, I was a little hesitant. But they said, "Would you like to try it on?" And then the mayor came over, so we took this moment for a little.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Wow, riding into bicycles. Now, you think about the old days when they talk about the Revolutionary War, and you didn't want to be the drummer boy, right? You're the guy. No, I don't want the flag. Yeah. That's got to be the same scenario. I mean, it goes to show you how tough people can be in times of need, that they can ride a bicycle in World War I. But okay, enough on that. I'm going on a tangent. All right, I like this picture a lot.
This is our group, and if I could just kind of really quick go down. On the left-hand side is Joe Tobia, who is
our
really
new legislator.
Heart and soul of San Giovanni committee for years and years. Took 8 adult and student groups over there over the years. Tim Ball's the next in line. He's the current president of the San Giovanni Bardano committee. His wife Maria is an HR manager at Wegmans. Standing behind her is Shane Halloran in sunglasses. He's a teacher of psychology, sociology, and history at the high school. In the green is Kelly Bacallis. She's an elementary school principal in Elmira. And next to her is George in the red. And of course, George is a longtime educator in our school district, now the vice principal in Horseheads. Behind him is Michelle Caulfield, our superintendent of schools. And next to George in the dark coat is my wife Sue. And in the white coat is Cecilia Ricci, that's Paolo's wife.
Isn't that great? That's a really nice
great
picture.
Group. I mean, we had so much fun. We laughed, we drank wine, and really competitive euchre games.
I thought that was funny you said that, euchre games, but it is night. But you don't think about sitting around playing euchre when you're in Italy.
Listen to music, playing euchre.
Oh, beautiful. And this is, I thought this was appropriate. Well, there's actually two more, but I thought this was really, we want to show the kids first, and then there's another picture I'm really excited to show.
Yeah, and again, this is really the meat and potatoes of the program, giving these kids an opportunity to experience a different culture and engage with different people and understand their lifestyle. And again, they are the future. COVID kind of knocked our program a little bit back. There used to be like 10 kids that went. We're going to do that again. We are energized to do that. So
I would think it would be only a matter of time to get back to those numbers.
This is very popular. It used to be that the kids had to compete to go on this trip. So we want to get back there.
And how appropriate. I love this. And we'll wrap up on that. This beautiful painting.
This was a painting that was gifted. It's a large painting by Mauro Capitani, who's a famous national artist. And it establishes 2 mountains. You can see the clock tower of Corning on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side is a lion which faces Florence, which is their symbol. And you can see the rivers coming down. Theirs is the Bardano. Ours, of course, is the Chemung. They meet together in solidarity to join and celebrate the mutual history of the community centered on glass.
What a thoughtful gift. Are you going to hang that up in the City Hall?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
It's not to me. Yeah, absolutely. It's a gift to the city.
I was going to say.
Wish it was to me.
I shouldn't ask that question without giving you a heads up on that. No, those are great pictures, and it sounds like just an amazing time. Are you still holding fundraisers? I know in the past there's fundraisers for the sister cities.
Yeah, I can't give you the date. It is. But I should know that date, but it's coming up. Quickly.
Okay.
So it'll be a pasta dinner.
Yeah, let me know, because we definitely want to bring it up, because it's something we don't, obviously it's not going to go away, but we don't want it to wane at all, because I think it's important for the kids. It's just an amazing experience overall.
Yeah.
So how did it feel, though, to get home, to touch down?
I'm not a great world traveler, Frank, but I mean, it's wonderful to travel when all you got to do is show up.
You're right.
But
everything's planned for you.
I like my pillow, so no, it was good to get back. And let me just throw something in before you close.
Yeah, of course.
I know you got an anniversary.
Yeah.
1 year anniversary.
You're going to be a part of it.
I am indeed, and I just want to take, as I always do, an opportunity to tell you that absent a vibrant local news-oriented newspaper, the show that you put on every day to bring people in, discuss local and regional and county issues is just an invaluable service, and you do it extremely well.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being on the show, and I can't wait to get updated on this. I can't wait for them to come over here. And
we'll bring them in.
Please bring them in, and I'd love to talk with them. It's always fun. It's always a fun experience. So thanks so much for doing this, and we'll see you next week on the show.
Sounds good, Frank.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Please stay with us after this short break, if I can find it. There we go. Mayor Boland for being on the program. I received and I apologize, I wasn't checking my messages because we were looking at the photos. This was more about the sister city, so I know there's some questions for the mayor. As I mentioned, he'll be on the program next week for the anniversary show. This was more just to highlight the trip and the connection with San Giovanni Valderno, so I apologize if I wasn't paying attention to my text like I normally do, but we'll be reading some comments later on. You see the number on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to weigh out anytime. We're also going to be talking with Brandon Beuter here in just a moment after the next break about International Black Balloon Day, which is tomorrow, so you won't want to miss that. We received a couple comments after yesterday's program, but we hit the ground running. I didn't have a chance to mention them. So this is kind of piggybacking off of yesterday's show. First up, a show so nice you can watch them twice. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. You can. And I appreciate those that do. Then this is an interesting thing. Just to paraphrase what the message is, that some Republicans have said that they're not going to vote for Trump because they don't want the chaos. They don't want all the drama that the media kept pushing on us day in and day out. The scandal this, the Russia this. And people are saying they just don't want to put up with that for 4 more years. But as this viewer said, that's kind of the method they're using, why they keep using the term chaos, that actually plays into the hands of the people like we saw, even though they were rebuked in a way, but they're trying to take Trump off the ballot through the legal system. Of course, the Supreme Court decided against that, but these constant attacks, so it plays right into their hands. That means that they've won, essentially. And trust me, once a political group, whatever political group, finds a winning message, finds a winning tactic, that tactic does not go away. Basically telling the person who said they're not going to vote for chaos, you don't mind that you're playing right into the hands by allowing it to affect your vote. And I really do believe that's what one of the media goals has been, trying to refresh people's memories of remember how bad it was when we just kept covering everything as a scandal. And there's actually, Rich Lowry doesn't believe that's working. Rich Lowry from the New York Post has a piece out, and he's saying Trump nostalgia is here, and it's endangering Biden's presidency. And I'd love to get your opinion on this. Is there a nostalgia? I know the media has been pushing the message that it's, Trump would be chaos. It would be the end of democracy as we know it. You've heard all the talking points over and over again. But Rich Lowry said the most remarkable phenomena of the 2024 election cycle so far is the rise of Trump nostalgia. It's difficult for anyone to have a new opinion about the former president. I mean, pretty much everybody's decided. He's well known, as Rich Lowry said, pretty in your face and polarizing. Yet people have a new, more favorable attitude towards his presidency in retrospect, certainly compared to the current occupant, Biden. After about 36 months of President Biden, in other words, people yearn for the Trump years. And that's coming from a CBS News poll. Listen to this poll. It found that looking back, 46% of people considered Trump's administration excellent or good, about 5 points higher than his average job approval rating when he left office. Only 33% say the same thing about Biden's time in office. Even starker, 65% think the economy was good under Trump, and only 28% think it was bad. It's almost a mirror image. Just 38% think the economy is good under Biden, and 59% think it's bad. And the economy is not necessarily good when the media has to tell you that it's good. I know we bring this up a lot, but never mind what you're experiencing when you go to the grocery store. Never mind everybody's conversation is about how expensive things have gotten or this shrinkflation, which ironically, I know the president keeps pushing this shrinkflation idea, but that just goes to indicate that there is inflation. It's no different. So it was kind of an interesting tactic, in my opinion, basically admitting that the economy is not good, even though they keep telling you that it is. But now that the pandemic is in the rearview mirror and looks more like an event beyond the control of any office holder, Trump is bouncing back to where he was prior to its onset and has improved his chances of winning election again. None of this is to deny, says Rich Lowry, his vulnerabilities. And Biden still has cards to play. But it's no small thing that Biden's record is found wanting when matched up with that of the man who occupied the office just 3 years ago. Trump nostalgia, in short, is a clear and present danger to Biden's presidency. And there's also a piece, I didn't print it out this morning, I was reading it during a break, that says, if you look at the polling numbers, Trump, as of right now, and I know it's polls, but through what you consider maybe more liberal outlets, showing that Trump is leading Biden as of right now. And the argument of this piece was, and I thought it was a fair piece, vice presidents don't normally make a big difference, but could this be the one that does? They keep saying Trump is never going to get that vote that Nikki Haley gets, which I still don't accept that premise, but let's accept it. That everybody voted for Nikki Haley will never, ever vote for Trump. Well, could it be if Trump picks somebody, maybe, I don't know, I don't say moderate, I don't want to throw around any names, but like a Tim Scott, because he's not moderate, Tim Scott or Elise Stefanik, could this get some of those non-voters to vote for him? I'll give an example. I know many people who at the time did not believe that John McCain was conservative enough. That was not their first pick. But because Sarah Palin was on the ticket, many people said, well, okay, I can now hold my nose and vote for what is now at least a part conservative ticket. So could it be that scenario in just different terms? I'd like to hear your opinion on that. But we do have to take another short break, because when we come back, we're going to hear from Brandon Beuter about tomorrow's event, which is International Black Balloon Day. And it's to remember those that we've lost because of overdoses. And it's also to prevent future overdoses. So we'll hear from him when we come back. Yeah, it's a busy morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And I'd like to return to the studio with Brandon. Thanks so much for being back on the show.
No problem.
Let's talk about, first and foremost, we mentioned a few times on the show so far, International Black Balloon Day. What is that for people that aren't aware?
So Black Balloon Day is a day to recognize those individuals lost to substance use disorder, opioid overdose. Anyone that's passed due to substance use, we want to be able to recognize those individuals. Sure. And really, at the same time, bring some sort of education, information, allow it to be something people aren't scared to share.
Right. And that's a great point, because it's not just about awareness, which is an important part of this, but it's also about prevention.
Yeah.
And so have you found, I know we talked about this in the past, do you find that when someone maybe has got addicted, that there is that stigma to get help?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that? That's probably the $1 million question.
I mean, it's really just getting people information, education, helping people understand, and really, I think we need to get past that notion of it's a choice, right? Like, of course, it begins as a choice, like a lot of things, but how many people out there experimented or drank alcohol or whatever, right? And it develops into something much larger that the individual can't control.
And, one thing when you have these conversations with people, it's almost like they think of it as a city problem, but it's hitting us here at home. And I'm not sure, I know Sheriff Aller does a great job, you guys do a great job of talking about the numbers of overdose and how many times Narcan's been used. But there still seems to be almost an ignorance on how much it's affected our community.
Yeah, it's very much here. In the biggest ways. There's
no denying it at this point. And I know that you have the numbers there. I was looking at this as I was preparing for our interview for International Black Balloon Day. The numbers pretty much soars year to year. So it's not getting any better.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So if you look at in Steuben in 2023, 348 opioid overdoses compared to 290 the year before. Do you see any chance of this decreasing?
I'd like to say yes, but
of
no.
course. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's why events like this are important, so people are made aware. How do people get involved in this? Is it a private remembrance, or is it kind of a public event?
No, so we have an event that we're going to be at. It's kind of a table information event up at Corning Community College. I believe it's 10 to 2 on Wednesday. But we also, anybody can get in touch with us at Steuben Prevention Coalition and go to the opioid tab, opioid committee, and that's where they'll find most of the information on us and be able to get tied in with us. And I think it's good to mention that people, everyday citizens, professionals, anybody is welcome to join the opioid committee,
right?
And really try to make a change in the community.
Is there a certain time when you release the balloons, or it's more again about the public relations of it?
Yeah, so right on our site now, and you can link through Facebook as well, Steuben Opioid Committee, we have virtual release.
Oh, okay.
Right, we don't want to release real balloons because of environmental, but the virtual release allows you to tag a name on it, write a little bit about your loved one or somebody that you may know that have passed, and I think everybody in our community probably knows somebody at this point.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
unfortunately. How many people are normally involved in an event like this?
I mean, it varies drastically.
Yeah.
But I mean, opioid committee as a whole right now, I think we have close to 50 members.
Wow.
So, I mean, from all areas, all walks of life, different professional, capacities. So, it's a way for community members to really get involved with prevention, education, and really just trying to make a change.
How does somebody join the opioid committee?
People can just reach out directly to me or Connie Terry. And again, that's Steuben Prevention Coalition.org. They can reach through there, through the opioid committee tab, or Facebook. It's really just getting connected with us.
Right. I was shocked, and I don't think I've talked to you since this, but I was I won't say where, but I was at an event, and they had in the room Narcan sitting out in case, God forbid, something happened. That was the first time it kind of hit me how that is such a necessity to have that around, just like you would the CPR machines and the things like that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because in Steuben County, we've been able to place a large number of opioid prevention boxes that have Narcan wall units. Some people may have seen them at places, or I know there was some news coverage about the fire departments that put it in. And all it is just a box on the wall with doses of Narcan in it. And they're not only used for emergency situations. So if an individual does know somebody, or they feel somebody might be at risk, they can take one, and we're looking to place about 40 more of those as well. Wow. So, like you said, we really want it to be commonplace, as common as fire extinguishers and AEDs, because it is a life-saving measure, right?
Well, we were talking off the air, and it's amazing to me, and I mentioned this with Allard, and it's not a joke, but it seems like every time the sheriff's on the program, there's some new form of drug out there that I didn't hear about 2 months before. It's terrifying that this is on our street, and it's only going to get worse. I wanted to bring this up to you. It was with the Times Union, and it's a commentary piece from yesterday, and I saved it just because I know you'd be on the program. And they said that fentanyl is winning. That is their opinion on this. Do you believe that to be the case?
Yeah. I mean, the drugs have been winning against prevention and recovery programming forever, but it's a much larger problem than just the substance, though, right? Like, it's a cry for help for individuals.
Sure.
People are struggling. People don't know how to deal coming back from COVID.
Exactly.
Everybody's had their own little mental health breakdown before, and a lot of people have found during experimentation or whatever, growing up, that substances could take them outside themselves.
Do you find more people reaching out for help, or is it pretty much consistent?
It's really, that's a hard question to answer. It fluctuates. Sometimes there is a large influx of people reaching out, but also there's people that know they have a problem, but the disease of addiction tells you that you can still control it.
Right.
Even when everything's spiraling out of control, you're still telling yourself within your own head, and I got this, I can stop tomorrow.
Any day, yeah.
And we know that's not reality, but in the moment,
How can people reach out to you if they're watching this and they want to get help?
Yeah, so, my day job is I'm a recovery peer coordinator with the AIM Independent Living Center. Best way to reach me is 607-962-8225, extension 233. They can also reach out to me via text, or just call my cell phone, 607-415-2473.
And just before we go, if someone's just tuning in, what should they know about the upcoming International Black Balloon Day on March 6th?
It's bigger than just remembering people, right? It's trying to bring awareness so kids, people, getting prescribed things or having experiences with substances know where to reach out, who to reach out to, where to ask for help. But at the same time, it's also for people to memorialize people, right? Because people are losing their lives every single day.
It's so sad. That's tomorrow, March 6th. So if you can attend, or if not, have your private remembrance. Brandon, thanks so much for being on the show again. Let's do this again soon, okay?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us. And we are back with Frankly Speaking. What a show this morning. So many guests, so many comments. We're going to get to some of those comments in just a second, but we appreciate you joining us here as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. First up, from viewers, you're right. The judges that tried to kick Trump off the ballot should be ashamed, and I think they should receive some sort of punishment. However, for doing their duty for the Democrats, they will be revered and respected. Next up, another viewer. Can you imagine the outrage if the Republicans did even one of the shotgun blasts of chaos the left has fired at their candidate? At this candidate, I think it meaning Trump. And then, and I think this is a good point, just to kind of skip over because we're almost out of time, but people should remember Trump isn't initiating the chaos. He is the target. The Democrats are the initiators. All right, so let's move along here, go through a couple quick things. All right. According to, and I didn't have this ready up on the screen, but according to Axios, which is not a conservative-friendly outlet, reality bites to the Democrats. Courts won't save them from Trump. Many Democrats are coming to the grips with the idea that Trump can only be defeated at the ballot box. But after a weekend that wrought yet another round of devastating polls for President Biden, that task is more daunting than ever, according to Axios. Also, one other poll just to show you, because I know I mentioned it earlier. There we go. Voters give better marks to Trump's policies than Biden. Going back to that Rich Lowry piece is what this is in reference to. Did you know, though, but not since Theodore Roosevelt ran against William Howard Taft in 1912, have voters gotten the opportunity to weigh the records of two men who have done the job of president. Isn't that interesting? Overall, 40% of voters say Mr. Trump's policies had helped them personally, compared with just 18% who say the same about Mr. Biden's policies. This coming from New York Times, Siena College polls. That's a damning number for Mr. Biden. Instead, 43% of voters said Mr. Biden's policies had hurt them, nearly double the share who said the same about Mr. Trump's policies. Well, and that's why many in the Democrat Party said you got to get away from the Bidenomics talking point. Not even just about the economy itself, but the Bidenomics, the term even, because no matter how many times the media tells us on paper things are great, you know how it feels when you go to the grocery store. You know how you don't go out to eat anymore or go to the theater or whatever the case may be. You see it, you witness it, and no matter how many times the media or politicians tell us differently, it's still, at the end of the day, it all goes back to the wallet, right? To the pocketbook. Haley is facing a growing third-party speculation charge. This is Nikki Haley. Speculation surrounding the possibility of Nikki Haley launching a third-party bid is mounting as she struggles to win delegates going into Super Tuesday. Now, she said she would not be a part of the No Labels, but No Labels has signaled that they would be interested in having her. Haley, for her part, has brushed off the No Label speculation, arguing her place is in the Republican Party. She's also coming off her first primary victory in Washington, D.C. Okay. A veteran Republican strategist, Tucker Martin, said, "My heart wishes it was possible, but my brain doesn't think it can be." Governor Haley, she is the embodiment of the conundrum of the modern Republican Party, which is she's exactly who Republicans should be running. Nothing like a Republican veteran strategist telling you who we should be running. Tell us about the history of how that Republican veteran strategists have helped the Republican Party. That's just, it's not a knock on them. I just find it really interesting. It's like the Bill Kristols of the world. They get so many things wrong and still find it fine to go out there and say, we have to do it this way if we're going to win. Because who was it? I mean, veteran strategists, they told us it had to be Romney, it had to be McCain, it had to be Jeb Bush. You get the idea. Wow, we are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much. Oh, there was a piece I wanted to get to you because I'm sure it would get a lot of comments from you. Hochul talks tough on crime. Yes, she's trying to distance herself. She says, I've always been strong on the issues and trying to blame Cuomo for the bail reform laws, saying, hey, I didn't sign it into law. But as Cuomo's spokesperson said, this administration has been in place for 3 years, and at some point, they're going to have to realize they're not bystanders. All right, now we're out of time. Thank you to Corning Mayor Bill Boland for being our guest. It was kind of nice to see that. It was real nice to see those pictures from San Giovanni Varadurno. Also want to thank Brandon Beuter for coming in to tell us all about International Black Balloon Day tomorrow. Well, have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. with Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox.